Me. Greater than 23 years old girl named Emily, living in New York. Start dating Daniel, the so-called golden boy. Dude everyone wanted, but he picked me somehow. My friends whispered, "Girl, you're so damn lucky." And honestly, at first it felt like a fairy tale. Flowers every week. "Good morning, beautiful," texts daily. He listened when I talked, never raised his voice. Helped with little things, never complained once. We had Netflix nights, weekend trips to Brooklyn. He was polite, sweet, basically perfect boyfriend package. My girls kept saying, "He's literally perfect, marry him." I laughed, but deep down thought they were right. The first month together felt like magic. But after that, something started to shift. Perfection turned into flatness, kinda boring. I craved fire, but all I got was calm. Wanted him to argue, tease, challenge me a little. Instead, he just smiled and agreed with everything. And that started messing with my head big time. One night, I asked him straight up, "Why are you always so calm? Don't you care?" He just smiled soft, shook his head calm. "I love you, Em. Why fight about nothing?" Meant to be sweet, but it pissed me off. I wanted spark, he kept giving me quiet. The stability everyone dreamed about made me restless. I started thinking, maybe he's too perfect to be real. Maybe this isn't love, maybe it's autopilot. So I started pushing, trying to wake him up. Would drop sharp little comments at dinner tables. Would flirt a little too much in front of him. Would throw out lines like, "Someone else might be fun." He didn't blow up, didn't argue back once. But I saw it in his eyes slowly fading. Smiles shorter, laughs fewer, warmth slipping away. Bed felt colder, silence grew heavier daily. I thought I was testing his love for me. But truth was I was burning us down slowly. And I didn't even realize until too late. One night, I completely lost my patience. Looked him dead in the eyes, snapped hard. "God, you're like a robot, nothing alive in you." My voice shaking, waiting for him to finally explode. Wanted yelling, wanted fire, anything to prove he cared. But he just went quiet, face unreadable. His eyes dark, heavy, but lips stayed sealed. And that silence hit harder than any scream could. It scared me more than a fight ever would. I thought, okay, now he'll break, now he'll show. But nothing came, just silence pressing on my chest. It was like waiting for a storm that never hit. And in that moment I realized something. Maybe his silence wasn't patience anymore. Maybe it was him slowly giving up on me. And that thought burned worse than any argument. Still, I kept poking, kept provoking daily. Thinking I'd wake him up, make him fight. Not knowing I was just pushing him further away. Straight into the emptiness I feared most. 2 whole months went on like that. Me throwing shade, him taking it quietly. Flirting in front of him just to test. Dropping sharp words meant to cut him deep. Saying, maybe someone else would be more exciting. Each time he just smiled weakly, stayed quiet. But his eyes told the real story, pure emptiness. The guy who once lit up around me was gone. Not angry, not jealous, just hollow and tired. And deep down I knew what that meant. You can only push someone so far before they break. It was just a matter of when, not if. Bed got colder, hugs shorter, words fewer. I kept lying to myself, thinking he'll snap. That he'll finally fight for me and prove it. But instead he was already slipping out of reach. Slow step by slow step, drifting further every day. I thought I wanted chaos. I got silence. And silence hurt worse than any fight ever could. It was only a matter of time before he left. One evening, he finally broke that silence. His voice low, steady, like he rehearsed it. "Em, I can't do this anymore." My heart dropped straight into my stomach instantly. He said, "I'm not who you want, never was." I froze up, hands shaking, couldn't process a word. Stammered, "Wait, what? What are you talking about?" He looked me right in the eyes, calm but sad. "I loved you, Em, but you pushed me away." Those words hit harder than any scream could. Then he grabbed his bag, packed his stuff fast. No fight, no yelling, no long goodbye. Just walked out, door clicking shut behind him. Apartment turned dead silent in a second. Even the clock on the wall felt frozen. I stood there shaking, couldn't breathe at all. The guy everyone called perfect was gone. And I was the one who drove him out. Not because he cheated, not because he lied. Just because I couldn't handle his quiet love. I sat on the floor waiting for a text. Hoping he'd come back, maybe just cool off. Hours passed, then days, nothing but silence. Kept checking my phone every 5 minutes. Friends asked how we were, I lied casually. Said, "Oh, we're fine, just busy lately." Inside, I was falling apart completely. Nights felt endless, bed colder than ever. Thought maybe he'd walk through the door suddenly. But the only thing that showed up was silence. And that silence was heavier than concrete walls. I replayed his last words over and over. "If you don't trust me, what's the point?" My chest caved each time I heard them again. All I wanted was one message from him. But every morning, I woke to an empty screen. Loneliness echoed louder than any argument we never had. I thought I wanted passion, but lost everything instead. All because I couldn't see what I had. After a week, I finally got a message. But not from him, from my best friend instead. She wrote, "We need to talk, you won't like it." My stomach twisted before I even replied. Met her at a cafe, heart racing fast. She looked guilty, couldn't meet my eyes. Finally said, "Daniel's been seeing me." Those words sliced deeper than a knife ever could. The same friend who called him perfect to my face. Now sitting across from me, admitting this shit. I felt my throat close, couldn't even breathe. Asked since when. Voice shaking like glass breaking. She whispered, "After you pushed him away." Tears blurred my vision, world spun out. It wasn't betrayal from the start, but it damn sure felt like it now. The guy I ruined still ended up gone. And now he belonged to someone else. Not a stranger, but my own friend. And that truth cut worse than everything before. That night, I caved and texted him. "Please, come back. I get it now. I love you." Stared at the screen, hoping for mercy. His reply came fast, but cold as ice. "Too late, You destroyed it all." 5 words that slammed the door for good. I dropped my phone, curled up on the floor. Cried harder than I ever thought possible. Because this time it wasn't just heartbreak. It was knowing I caused it myself. Checked his socials days later, biggest mistake. Saw him smiling with her, arm around tight. The same smile that once belonged only to me. My heart ripped open all over again. I whispered that should have been us, to the screen. But screens don't care, they just glow back cold. I thought I wanted fire, got burned instead. Lost the best thing I ever had. Not to someone else, but to my own hands. Days turned into weeks, pain still sharp as hell. Every corner of the city reminded me of him. The bar we laughed in, the park bench at night. Even the coffee shop where I worked felt haunted. Kept checking my phone, knowing nothing would come. Still hoping maybe he'd change his mind. My friends asked what happened, I shrugged it off. Couldn't admit the truth, I ruined everything. Better to let them think he just walked. Then admit I pushed the best guy away. Night after night, I replayed it in my head. His voice saying, "You pushed me away," on loop. I hugged a pillow, crying until sunrise. Wondering how the hell I became this girl. The one who killed her own relationship. Not because he hurt me, but because I got bored. Because I wanted sparks instead of peace. And ended up with nothing but ashes. Kind of funny, in the most fucked up way. How you can be your own worst enemy. A month later, I saw them together in person. Walking hand in hand down the street. My stomach dropped, knees weak, heart cracked again. He looked happy, really happy, not faking it. The way he used to look at me once. Now his eyes were only on her. I froze on the sidewalk, couldn't move. Felt invisible, like I never existed to him. My friend saw me, looked guilty for a sec. But then she laughed at something he said. And that laugh stabbed harder than a knife. I ran home, slammed the door, collapsed. Screamed into my pillow until my throat burned. Wanted to hate her, hate him, hate everything. But truth echoed louder. I did this shit. I pushed him into emptiness until he left. I made space for her to take my place. And now I had to live with that. The worst heartbreak is knowing it's your fault. Winter hit, cold winds cutting through streets. Holidays buzzing, but I felt dead inside. Stores filled with couples buying gifts together. I walked past alone, hands shoved in pockets. Every sparkle of lights felt like a punch. Kept hearing his laugh in my head nonstop. Wrote his name in my journal, then scratched it out. Ink smeared, tears dripping on the page. Wrote over and over. I ruined us. Truth stung sharper than any lie could. Daniel wasn't the villain in my story. I was, and I hated myself for it. My friends tried dragging me to parties. I faked smiles, but inside I was crumbling. Couldn't drink enough to forget his voice. Too late, echoing through my brain. Lay awake nights staring at the ceiling. Bed empty, heart heavier than concrete. I kept asking why I chased chaos, when peace was right there in my hands. Then one night, Ashley texted me again. Stop punishing yourself forever. You need to heal. I wanted to ignore her, but I couldn't. Met at a cafe, air tense as hell. She looked at me, voice softer this time. You didn't lose him to me, Em. You lost him because you couldn't trust him. Those words stung like acid, but she was right. Trust was the only thing he ever asked for. And I burned it down with my doubts. I stared at my coffee, hands shaking bad. Wanted to scream, wanted to blame her. But the mirror in my head showed me instead. I was the storm that wrecked my own home. She hugged me before leaving, felt empty though. Forgiveness from her didn't matter without his. And his forgiveness was something I'd never get. Walked home through freezing rain, shoes soaked. Wondering if I'd ever stop carrying this guilt. Spring came, city blooming with color everywhere. But inside me it still felt gray as hell. Walked through parks, saw couples laughing loud. Each smile reminded me of what I lost. Tried deleting old photos from my phone again, but froze staring at his smile too long. That smile wasn't fake, he truly loved me. And I burned it all down with my boredom. Threw the phone on my bed, face hot. Anger at myself boiling harder than grief. Wrote in my journal till pages ripped. Wrote, I was the one who killed us. Stared at the words, couldn't stop crying. But also knew it was the raw truth. It wasn't Ashley, wasn't Daniel, it was me. I poisoned something pure with my own hands. Accepting it nearly ripped me apart again. But hiding from it was killing me worse. So I faced it head on, page by page. Hoping maybe honesty could rebuild me somehow. Summer nights rolled in sticky and restless. One evening Ashley called, told me straight. You can't bleed alone forever, Em. Met her on a rooftop bar downtown. Skyline glowing, air warm, drinks clinking. I told her guilt still chained me heavy. She said, trust once broken rarely comes back. But you can still fix yourself if you try. Her words hit harder than I expected. Couldn't bring Daniel back, that was done. But maybe I could bring myself back. Walked home past neon lights, buzzing bright. Wrote in my journal, he's gone, but I'm not. For the first time, it felt like a start. Tears fell, but they weren't all bitter. Some felt like release, like breathing again. Looked at the mirror that night, softer eyes. Still broken, but not completely anymore. Maybe survival was possible after all, if I could just keep moving forward. Months later, I finally found some rhythm again. Classes, shifts at the cafe, nights journaling. Days still heavy, but not unbearable anymore. Laughed with coworkers, sometimes without faking it. Started walking home during sunsets on purpose. Orange sky made me feel kinda alive again. One afternoon passed a jewelry store downtown. Rings sparkling bright behind the glass case. But they didn't stab me like before. This time I just thought, not yet, someday. Wrote in my journal, I'll love again. Words shaky, but they didn't feel impossible. Kinda wild how pain turns into quiet strength. I never thought I'd breathe without him. But air felt easier, steps lighter every week. Scars still there, trust still cracked open. But at least I wasn't drowning every night. Healing wasn't some big moment, just small ones. Choosing myself over ghosts, over guilt. And finally feeling proud of those choices. Fall showed up with crisp air and leaves. Streets painted gold, boots crunching underfoot. Met friends at a diner one Friday night. We laughed until our stomachs hurt nonstop. They said, it's good to see you back. I smiled real, not forced for the first time. Realized I hadn't thought of Daniel all day. His ghost fading, my own life filling again. Wrote in my journal, he wasn't my forever. Maybe he was just the lesson I needed. Lesson that trust is everything, fragile as glass. Lesson that boredom can kill love faster than lies. Lesson that healing takes longer than heartbreak itself. Looked around the table, friends glowing in neon. Felt love, the steady kind that never leaves. The kind I should have valued from the start. Smiled soft, heart lighter than it had been in months. For once I wasn't haunted by his eyes. I was just living, and it felt good. Winter came back, city glowing with holiday lights. Markets buzzing, couples wrapped in each other's arms. I walked through alone, but not really lonely. Bought hot cocoa, warmed my freezing fingers up. Memories of Daniel popped in my head again. But they didn't slice me open this time. Just faint pictures fading in the background slowly. Wrote in my journal, this year broke me. But it also rebuilt me into someone stronger. Read those words twice, finally believed them. Because heartbreak didn't kill me after all. It just showed me who I really was. I lost him, but I gained myself back. And that trade, painful as hell, made me tougher. Stood in the cold, smiled at the lights. Felt peace, even if it was small. For the first time, holidays didn't crush me. They just felt like another step forward. Not perfect, but good enough for healing. New Year's Eve hit. Fireworks lit the sky. Friends around me, champagne glasses clinking loud. I stood on a balcony, city buzzing below. Wind freezing my face, but chest warm inside. Wasn't thinking about Daniel at all anymore. Instead thought about me, about fresh starts. About how trust has to start with yourself, before you can ever give it to anyone else. Midnight countdown hit. Cheers shook the air. I closed my eyes and whispered one wish. Never betray myself again, no matter what. Because that's the lesson that will stay forever. Love can vanish, trust can shatter in seconds. But losing yourself is the biggest tragedy. And finding yourself again is the real victory. Wrote in journal, New Year, New Me. Underlined it bold, pen nearly ripping paper. Closed the book smiling through quiet tears. I'd survived the storm, and damn, I was proud. Spring rolled in, city blooming bright again. Walked through the park, flowers everywhere buzzing. Saw couples laughing, kids chasing bubbles happily. But no ache hit my chest this time. I wasn't jealous, just calm watching life move. Because love wasn't missing, it was already in me. Sat on a bench sipping my coffee slow. Journal in my lap, pen scratching pages. Wrote, I thought I lost everything last year. But really I just lost trust in myself. Now I was rebuilding, piece by piece daily. Daniel was gone, but the lesson stayed strong. Never let fear speak louder than love again. And never destroy what you're not sure about. Looked up at the blue sky smiling soft. Future didn't feel scary, it felt wide open. Sure, scars stayed, but so did I. And that was more than enough for me. I stood, tossed coffee cup, walked forward. Ready for whatever the hell comes next. So here's where I ask you straight. Would you forgive someone who ruined love like this? Or is a second chance impossible once trust is gone? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Because I know I'm not the only one guilty. And if you've ever lost someone by your own hands, hit that like button so I know I'm not alone. Subscribe if you want more raw stories like this. The kind that hurt, but also make you think. Because sometimes we're not the victim at all. Sometimes we're the reason everything broke apart. And that truth cuts deeper than any betrayal. But it also teaches the harshest lessons. Thanks for sticking with me through the whole story. I hope it made you feel a little less alone. So tell me, do you think trust can ever be rebuilt? Or once it's gone, is it gone forever? Your answers might help someone else out there heal too.